do it. Good morning, everybody. Here we are on a new project. I'm going to take you guys really quick on the walk around to the backyard, show you what we got going on back here and what we plan on doing. So right in this backyard, we're going to be building right off the corner of this house. We're going to be doing a 3-piece paver pattern from Bellegarde Catalina Grana with gray coloring, 2 steps off the back of that sliding glass door, and that's basically it.
Hi, David Odell here with Odell Complete Concrete. Today we're going to be remodeling this entire backyard. The raised wood deck's going to be removed. We're going to decrease the size of that with just 2 steps. That'll give this backyard a little more space for a patio set. Also, we're going to be putting a patio cover in. That's going to be a different contractor, but that's going to be an ongoing project that you'll be able to see at the end of this video, as well as the pavers that we're putting in. We're going to have cantilever steps, bull nose off of those steps. Here's some of the concrete removing. Use the Stihl TS420 to cut the concrete. Now removing the wood deck. Came out really easy. Much easier than removing concrete.
Okay, so we just got most of the deck out. Check out these footings. As we were just prying up these footings, we were literally able just to lift the whole footing out of the ground without using the skidster.
That is not code.
That thing was just not built well.
No.
But
It's not my hand.
yeah, it's like a 5-inch footing, maybe 6. But yeah, that thing was weak. We were literally just slamming the sludge side to side on this little frame, loosen it up, pull the whole thing out of the ground.
Well, that's nice when you're doing demo and it comes out easy. That's a bonus for sure. The concrete's coming out easy as well. Doesn't have any reinforcement in it. It's only about 3.5 inches thick, so that's an easy removal as well. Not only that, but it's less expensive to dump it with it when it doesn't have steel in it. If they have steel in it, when they grind it up, the steel has to be separated before it can be used for a base. So when you just got pure concrete like this, it's inexpensive to get rid of. Since there's not a lot of space down that side yard, they're just going to load it with the tractor, dump it in the wheelbarrows, and wheel it on out. If you tried to run it back and forth, the tractor, through this narrow corridor, you're bound to hit something at some point in time when you only have 1-inch clearance both sides.
Alright, so we are down one guy. So it's just me and Jimmy. Gonna be taking care of all the demo today. We got this. Alright, so we're gonna start getting levels for this backyard. As you can see, I'm super sweaty, so is Jimmy. We're dying out here, and we're down one dude, so makes it a little bit tougher for us. But we're gonna get these levels established and keep chugging along, get this backyard graded and ready for those pavers. So let's go through the process and how we set up for this backyard. Okay, so the first thing we're going to be doing is setting up a benchmark, and the benchmark in this case is the existing sidewalk. And the reason why that is because I eventually have to match that level. And then also the sidewalk on the other side of the house. And I'm going to be checking the slope between the two and seeing if I have any slope towards this sidewalk right here, because I would rather have all of the water slope out the side yard to the front. But we'll see what we can do with it.
Hopefully we have some slope. Wow. We're exactly level, so there's no slope from that sidewalk over there to this one, which means we're gonna have to figure out another route of sloping this. Nah, man, that sucks. That's not fun when you have no slope to play with. Let's see what we have in the back.
So since there is no slope from one side of the house to the other side so that it can go out to the front yard, what I'm gonna have to do is find a new sloping method for this backyard. So my next thought at this point was, okay, since there's gonna be a 2-foot planter bed in the back, maybe I can slope everything, all the pavers, to the backyard planter bed.
That's the height right there of the sidewalk, established grade. So we would need to be, let's see, because I'm pretty sure from the house to here is 20 feet. And I like to do at least 2% for pavers, at least 2%. So every 8 feet for 2%, you need to go down 2 inches. So we'd be down there, and I'm pretty sure this footing would get exposed, because this is not the footing for the block wall. It was just a more aesthetic thing that they put right here. Maybe it's also a structural supporting this wall. Not really sure 100%, but from what my guess, I don't know if you guys have an idea. You guys can comment down below and see what this, if you guys think it's decorative or structural. But we're gonna have to figure out this issue right here.
So at this point, I'm thinking there's no way I'm going to be able to slope the pavers to the back of this concrete wall because it will be exposed. So the only other option I have right now is to bring up the pavers on the back of this wall and start sloping towards the house, but out towards the side of the house.
Okay, so after talking with the homeowner, we have gone with the route of putting a crown down the middle of the yard. Crowning right down the middle of the yard. Half of it will go out towards the sidewalk, the other half will go towards the lawn. That's what we've decided to go with, so we're gonna now start setting up for that circumstance. And what we have done so far is we measured out the middle of the yard. Basically, since this is a triangle shaped yard, me and Jimmy measured out from corner of the wall all the way to our existing hardscape. We got about 13 feet.
And just so you know, when I said we have about 13 feet, that is the halfway point from the back of the corner of the wall to our existing hardscape. So the total distance was 26 feet, but we needed to find the middle.
Pulled it out this way. Basically, just ran a straight string line off that down to here. And then we measured the distance from the wall to the house. Got that, and then divided right in the middle.
So now that we have the drainage situation all figured out, this is the next day, and I already picked up some concrete because we are going to be starting on the steps. We're going to be doing some concrete steps and then attaching the pavers to the concrete steps.
Take you to the back real quick, show you what we got going on. So we've already figured out all the layout. The last thing we need to do is figure out the step layout, how many steps, what size, all that good stuff. So we're gonna do that right now by measuring from the red chalk line, to about, you know, around here, because that's the top of the step there, and figure out what size steps we want. Okay, so we have determined the height of the steps. All we did to figure that out was measure from the chalk line, which is the grade. That is our benchmark and our height of the pavers. So we're gonna just measure all the way up to the top of the seal, which we got about 19 3/4. All I did after that was I had to divide it by 3, and we got 6 5/8 for our steps. So we're gonna have basically 3 steps, but we're only going to build for 2. The last step will be the step up into the sliding glass door. Yeah, so we're going to start building the steps now out of our scrap 2x4. Then we'll start mixing some concrete, pouring these steps by hand so that we can get some pavers here by this week and start getting this step looking good.
All right, they're just gonna scab a couple 2x4s together. One of them's gonna be ripped to fit that height of the step. One thing I forgot to mention here on the step height is you gotta account for slope on those treads as well. So you're not gonna really have that full height to work with. Because this is just a base for the pavers, you don't have to strip it and finish it. So just scrap lumber works fine. The most important thing is the heights of the concrete, your setbacks for your treads, just so everything fits on there. It doesn't have to look pretty though.
Okay, so our forms are all set up. The only thing we're going to do now is start mixing up the concrete and bringing the concrete back there. And I guess the trickiest thing when doing forms and concrete pours for pavers is making sure you always account for the depth and the width and the face of the pavers. So you have to take account of all the dimensions of your pavers so that when you actually do start placing everything, you get the right calculations. Like when we're going up, you gotta make sure you're always about 2 inches lower than you really want for your finish on the concrete, because once you put the pavers on top, you're gonna gain an extra, like, sorry, battery died. But like I was saying, when you start going up with your pavers, you're gonna be adding an extra 2 inches. So you always gotta take into account for that extra depth of the pavers. All right, here we are in the front. We got all of our concrete. I got the good stuff, the 4,500 PSI. The Quickcrete for finishing steps is just no good, no fun. So we got that, made sure to get heavy cement because it makes it that much easier to finish. You can only get this stuff at Lowe's too. Home Depot doesn't carry the good stuff, unfortunately. And then we got our mixer. So we're ready to go.
All right, that pallet of concrete was about one cubic yard. It came up a little bit short on this, probably about 12 bags. So they had to make a quick run to the Lowe's and get a few more. But it's really not that crucial that it all goes in there at the same time. When it's this thick, it's gonna be fine. You could have put some base in there, and then they would have made it with one pallet. But by going all the way down to the native, it's gonna be it's on a more solid base. Here's a trench going in for some conduit that will come up alongside the future patio cover post. And what they're going to do, because they went ahead and did the pavers before the patio cover, typically you like to do it the other way around. But they're going to go ahead and do this because the patio cover guys that are going to do this build are way behind schedule. So they're going to get the pavers in first. And then the guys are going to come in here, mix up some concrete, wet set those posts, and build the cover. And then we come back, lay the rest of the pavers up against the post. So these little box outs, just kind of a temporary, and it also establishes elevation. So they can work all these pavers off the top of these little boxes they built. So this road base is crushed concrete. The concrete that we removed is basically what's going back in, but it's just crushed now.
All right, as you can see, we're grading out we're bringing in base and grading the backyard now with our 3/4 inch base. It's crushed concrete recycled. So how we're doing that is I got a lot of string lines set up in the backyard, and those are all my grading lines because this backyard drains a little funky. I wanted to put drains back here, but the homeowner kind of opted out of that option because we would have had to tear out the whole side yard. We would have had to go pretty far to get the drains to the street, so it would have cost a lot extra. So I figured out a way to drain this backyard in a more cost-effective way. So as we're doing the grade back here, what I do is I like to rip a board down to 2 3/4. See that? We got 2 3/4 on this board, and that leaves me enough room for the pavers and sand. After that, what I like to do is we'll just be bringing base back here, and I'll just be following these grades right here. See how we're barely underneath that? That means we need a little bit more, just like that. So I like to go right to the height of the string line, like that, and I'll just grade it just down like that. You can see over here, this side's already pretty much done. So if we bring this over here, we're already to the height right there and right there. So this is all good. You see that? Actually compacted down really nicely. I might go over it one more time just to be safe, but other than that, it's looking pretty good. So now we're just gonna start working on the next sections, working our way through this whole backyard.
The type of pavers we're going to be using here are made from Belgard, and they're called Catalina Grana. It's a 3-piece set, and the color is Rio. Really nice looking design. This road base is going in about 3-4 inches deep. And then over the top of that, there'll be about 1 inch of sand. And then it'll be ready to start dropping pavers in. A lot of times we'll set the field first and then cut in the band or the border around the perimeter. But in this case, we're going to set the outside perimeter first. They're going to be wet set in concrete. The reason you want to wet set them in concrete, there's some other systems you can use to hold that border in place. But it's crucial that you use something to hold it from shifting, because that border is holding the entire field in place. Without a secure border, the whole field just starts separating and coming apart. Now, also on these steps, what's happening is the fascia of the steps will be set first. You could set them after, but you'd have to cut every one to fit perfectly. So it's a lot easier just to run them wild down and then just butt up the field to them. And on the top of those steps, you'll have a nice bullnose cantilever, about 1.5 inches cantilever out, 45-degree cuts on the corners.
All right, so here we are, the main day of laying our pavers. Yesterday we got the border set in and we got the steps all set up. What we do and how we are doing this is we set our sand down the middle of our screed pipes. The screed pipes are about 1/2 inch, so that's exactly what we want for our sand, 1/2 inch. So this is basically how we're setting up. Everything is going to be draining down towards the house, but down out towards the grass. So it's got to fall this way, but also fall this way. And for that side, it's all draining down this way and out towards the side yard, but also going like this. The screed pin represents the break point between the patio, where it drains like this and like this. So we're just going to be bringing sand back here now and screening it all back, and then we can start laying all of our pavers. And then we're just double checking right now the slope that we need for the pavers at the break point.
So the sand they're bringing in is not a pure sand. It's actually a blend with small pea gravel. It's really called the C mix, and that's designed to be mixed with cement, and then you get a concrete mix. But we found that it's a lot more stable than using sand, and it's less likely to erode or wash out from underneath your pavers. Also, once you get it screeded off, you can walk over it and it doesn't affect it. With sand, you can't walk over it once you rot it. You leave footprints and holes.
Okay, so we've had this side all screeded out. Actually, what we like to do too when we're getting our screed is, since we have set elevations on the border and to the steps, and to the concrete, to the border. We're setting up stakes, tying strings on it. On here, we pull the string line from the border to the concrete. Make sure we have exactly 2 inches, so that when we are putting our pavers down, they'll sit flush with our border. So let's say like if we're a little deeper on our base than 2.5, we'll have to bring our pipes up slightly to account for the extra depth. Because we'll see what I mean too when we actually start to screed this section out.
No, Dad, it doesn't make sense. I went through everything like
Oh,
one
we're
by one.
too tight.
I could have sworn I put it in that bag.
Round 2, setting the string line up. So we're pulling the string line from our benchmark of established concrete height, which was existing, to our borders. Gets it set nice and tight. Once that's done, check the depth, see what we have. So see that? We're actually about 3.5 right there. Right here, it's like closer to 3. So what we'll do is we'll bring our pipe up a little bit on a bed of sand, get it to exactly 2. Oh, wow, look at that. Look at that, it's right about there, exactly at 2. So we don't need to actually put a bed of sand below it. Looks like it's solid, very, very solid. So all we're gonna do is like sand right over the pipe, screed it back, and that'll be exactly paver height. Alright, really quick, I wanted to tell you guys what we're doing and how we're starting our paver layout. As you can see, we have one guy right there and one guy over there. We're pulling a straight line parallel with the house. So what we're going to do is we're going to basically pull it right off our steps, double check the measurement off the house, make sure that each from the corner of the house there to the string line and from down there from the house to the string line is exactly the same measurement. As long as it's the same measurement, we're perfectly parallel with the house. We can start laying all of our pavers right off to that string line. We get a little closer. This pink line would be our parallel line with the house. Now, before we start laying pavers, we want to make sure we're square with that parallel line. So we pull the perpendicular line with the house, which is the orange line that goes down the middle of the patio, which is also our crown point. Let me get a little closer. So Roman had a square, put it against that with our pink string line, made sure it was perfectly square, and after that we're ready to go. See that? Perfection. Alright, now that we know we're perfectly square, we're set to lay pavers.
As he's setting these pavers on top of the step, he's using a little thin set mixture. He's also putting some adhesive or bonding agent on top of the concrete, so it's going to bond really well along that front edge. Those cantilever steps will bond really well. In fact, so well that you'll notice at the end of this video, after the other crew comes in to do the patio cover, they hit the bullnose with a wheelbarrow, it looks like, and knocked the chunk of the corner of the cantilever off. It didn't move it, it actually just broke a chunk of it off. So it adhered really well. So you can see the posts are all in now, and now it's just a matter of filling in the blanks. Once all your pavers are in, give it a good pressure washing. Here's your polymeric sand. This sand gets worked into all the cracks and crevices in between the pavers by sweeping initially, and then you'll run a plate compactor over that to really vibrate it in there. Also helps level makes all the pavers flatten out with the plate compactor. They used cardboard on the bottom of the plate compactor just so that it won't scratch the pavers. You can use carpet, you can use rubber, like different types of materials. They actually make one specifically for it, but they're fairly expensive. And once you've got it all compacted, you hit it with a little water, and that activates that polymeric sand. It kind of sets up in there, stabilizes it. You can see this turned out really nice. Got an outlet at every post. Drains really nicely. Here's a look at those corners of those bullnose steps. Nice 45 tight fits on those. You get down here, and here's where that big chunk of the bullnose is missing. At that bottom step there. Oh, there it is. It looks like where a wheelbarrow would hit. Like when they were wheeling the concrete in, probably for these posts. Probably hit right there and knocked a chunk of it off. Anyway, thanks for watching the video. Make sure you like, share, subscribe. Hit the notification button. That way you'll be notified as soon as we upload the next video. Have a good one.